Okay.
I think this will be the easiest way for me to do it. All right.
No.
All right. So let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm interviewing my good friend, Bryan Casella. The cool thing about this is you're on the Modern American Dream. I've obviously known Bryan, I want to say at least like 7 to 8 years now.
At
Right?
least, man. At least, bro. I
And,
remember I would always joke with David because the first video I saw of him, he's like, people are out there eating salad. I'm making calls. It's a video that he put like 10 years ago.
10 years ago, when I was cold calling, you were door knocking, still doing videos, still inspiring people. I think we both changed a lot. And I think the really cool thing is, in that time, speaking of finances, we both probably became millionaires. Right?
100%.
Back then, I don't know if you had money. I know I didn't have money, but I'm pretty sure you didn't have that much.
No, nothing.
So we're gonna talk about the journey. We're gonna talk what it kind of took, different mindset shifts that we had to make, both as real estate people, as business people, as just in general, like things we had to overcome. Bryan also does coaching, motivational coaching. He does also personal development for people to really get outside of their comfort zones and really grow themselves as people. He's also a realtor, has a big real estate team. And if you want to learn from him, we're gonna cover some good stuff today. You want to give yourself an introduction?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro. I know it's been a minute. So I got into the business almost 10 years ago now. I got in 2013. I played basketball overseas previously. Because of injuries, I stopped playing and I decided to, give it a shot with real estate. I really didn't know any better. I knew I wanted to do my own thing and run my own business. I didn't want to get a 9-to-5. And I said, hey, let's go. I looked at real estate and it made sense. I didn't know much. I didn't even own a suit, right? I never done sales, but I said, you know what, let's roll the dice and give this thing a go. Because when I looked at it, I said, okay, this stuff is new to me, but it can be learned. It's not rocket science. You know what I mean? I'm not studying astrophysics here and, astronomy and the planets. This is, hey, you got to talk to X amount of people. X amount of people are going to say no. One will say yes. You get a deal. You move on to the next one. I said, sign me up. Let's do it.
Sign me up. Whirlwind of rejection. I guess that brings my first question. How do you think you've learned to deal with rejection over time? How do you think, from the first door that slammed in your face to like how you are now? Because you obviously have a lot of people that come to you and go, hey Bryan, I can't do this. I can't do this because it's just so hard, So where do you say to yourself, like, hey, for me to get to my goals, I got to let go of what?
Yeah, right. There's a lot I could say about that, man. The first one is, at the end of the day, as much as we want to say we didn't think it was going to be that bad or, et cetera, me, you, everybody who got a license, we signed up for this, right? At the end of the day, even if you didn't agree initially that you were going to cold call or door knock, you agreed to the fact that you're going to be dealing with a lot of people and you're going to hear no, right? That's just the nature of it, right? That's one. Number two is, for me, emotionally and mentally, I realized that when you take it personally, it affects you. When you're able to separate, I'm putting my realtor hat on, I'm going door to door, they're saying no to my offer, not to me. That changed the game for me. Now it was, okay, you said no, but you don't have a problem with me as a person. You don't want to buy or sell. Cool, not a problem, right? And yeah, you're going to get nasty people. I'm sure you got nasty people on the phone too. I know you're in the Northeast and that snow makes people a little bit upset.
They got nasty attitudes out here.
Yeah. But that was the second thing, right? Was the separation between personal and business. But the third one was, I think, kind of what really helped me the most. I said, look, the opportunity wouldn't be present if everybody said yes, right? The holy grail, the trophy is going to be to the person who digs through the no's to find the yes. Because, if everybody said yes, the opportunity wouldn't be there, right? The
Right.
first person to catch somebody would get the business, and we wouldn't have this failure rate and all the statistics. So instead of looking at it from the perspective of, man, it's going to be a lot of rejection, 90% of people fail, I said, well, there's an opportunity there. If I can last longer, if I can do this day in and day out, I can make it. And lastly, bro, the biggest one for me was I was willing to do anything except for get a 9 to 5.
Right.
Like you could have asked me to go scoop up dog crap, bro, and create my own business, scooping up dog crap, and I would have done it and been like, I'll make more money doing that than working a job for somebody else. You know what I mean? Because it was that important to me. I had gotten a taste of working for someone else, and it left such a bad taste in my mouth, dude. I said, I'm willing to live out on the street until I get my own business running, then work for somebody else. That's how deeply ingrained it was into my mind, bro. So when I looked at rejection, I said, man, this is, it sucks, but like, it's not that bad. It could be worse,
Have you ever had a regular job?
I mean, not like a career regular job, growing up. Yeah, I had jobs. I remember in between the summers playing basketball for a while. If people remember this place, I worked at Blockbuster. If you guys remember that, that's where you would rent out videos and video games. Yeah.
I actually
had,
used to work
campus
there
jobs too.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I had campus jobs. So work study when you're on a scholarship that make you work on campus, which isn't a 9 to 5, but you work, hourly wage. It's the same kind of thing. So I'd gotten a taste of it. I just never had a career 9 to 5, like after college, working a corporate job, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70K a year. I never did that.
Where did you play ball?
I played in South America and I played in Spain.
Do you think any of that, like the athletics part, translated to the way you live your life?
Absolutely, man. Because when I took it into my own hands, I would say transitioning into high school is when my mind was like, okay, I want to play pro.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that you have to do and put yourself through, right? You have to set yourself up to get there, right? We can make the argument that, some people have natural talent. Great. But aside from that, I'm the one that had to get a copy of the keys of the gym from my coach. I'm the one that had to go get extra shots up and workouts before school and then after class, before practice, right? Yeah. And then, staying during the breaks when everybody would go home for Thanksgiving or spring break, I was staying at the school, and working out and opening up the gym by myself and putting in the trash cans and figuring it out because we couldn't use the basketball equipment because it was all locked up. So that type of mentality breeds a competitiveness. It builds that discipline. And of course, when I got into real estate, it was different, but that same mentality was translated, man, because I wanted to be number one in my office. I wanted to make this work. And I knew, hey, to be a top dog, just like in basketball, I got to put in that Michael Jordan type of work ethic. I ain't going to just show up 1 hour a week and be number one,
Right. There's always somebody putting in the work. Right. And I like real estate because it's like the grind never ends, right? If you let off the pedal a little bit, like somebody's coming. There's always new people in the industry. There's always like somebody with a bigger company that you know what I mean. You don't mind matching that. There's always somebody below you that you can mentor and all kinds of things like that. Let's switch gears and just talk about money. When you got into the business, did you have a lot of money? Did you not have any money? Like, what was the financial pressure?
It was bad, man. It was really bad. I misspent, like I made good money, dude, playing in Spain. I made well over 6 figures, each year that I played. And that last year that I stopped, had I played the next year and renewed, I really think I would have started making like a lot of money, like $500,000 and up. But, over there, me being young, 21, 22, 23, you're the man. Everybody shows you love. You get VIP access to clubs and everything. We're spending money, bro, like nothing. Right. And it's out of sight, out of mind. So that was a hard lesson to learn, to come back and be like, damn, I only have a little bit of money left. So at the time, my parents are coming out, they got and made a bad decision during the crash. Like right before they bought this piece of land where they were going to go live and build and do new construction. Yep. They bought right at the peak, it crashed. So they were struggling because they pulled out a line of credit for that. Right. Ooh. And I'm in a position where I'm transitioning out of that career, having to start new. And now financially, I have to help my parents too. So I got to get myself, on my feet and help my parents, which is going to be at least $3,000-4,000 a month. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I got to get my own place, get my own car, start over. So I'm already in the hole 5-6 G's a month, basically. And I have no reserves, man. I have enough reserves for like 1 month. You know what I mean? Like 1 month, and then that's
all the
it.
money club, and your dad's like,
Yeah, dude. Stupid. And I can't even tell you, bro, where all of it went. Like thinking back, I'm like, I know where some of it went, but the rest, who knows, right? So I'm like in the red, bro. I'm in the negative starting out. So, and then I go to a Mike Ferry event before I was licensed. This is like, I think July of 2013 with my company. Some of the guys in my company were big Mike Ferry guys. So we go and I signed up for the coaching there, and I just put it on a credit card, but I didn't have the money, but I made the commitment and I said, yo, I'm going to make it happen. So when I started, bro, zero money. I worked a little bit right when I got back for a couple of months and saved up a little money with little side hustles. But the moment I got into real estate, it was full time. I cut off everything else.
And do you remember like when it switched, whether like you saving money or you making money and then saving it? You know what I mean? And when did your income in real estate supersede what you would have made that next year in like playing overseas?
So, man, I went up and down financially, dude, because of improper decisions and not being financially educated, probably for the first year and a half or 2 years, where the first year it was tight. After that, it was like little scares and stuff like that. Nothing major, like I'm going to be out on the street type thing. Mm-hmm. But, you know, still not making smart decisions. I read that book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That changed my life. That changed my life, dude. And then I implemented
that seminar too.
Yeah. Really good. So that changed me. After that, I was good. But those first 2 years, man, were a struggle. Now, to match that potential contract of what I had that year when I stopped playing because of injuries, probably you're talking 3, 4, 5 years into real estate. You know, if we're talking like just straight commissions, making, you know, $500,000 or more just from real estate and what I was doing, you're probably looking at my, you know, 4th year or something like that, because I did well. Like I did 100, what did I make? 123 in gross my first year. I pretty much doubled that the second year. Then I added another 6 figures the third year. And then from there, it started climbing as far as commissions before I, you know, opened up my other streams of income. But it took a while, man. It took a while.
It always takes a while. Did you ever want to quit and do something else?
I don't know if I wanted to quit, but there was a couple times the first year where I would be sitting in my car, like in tears, saying, damn, man, like I'm knocking the doors, I'm making the calls, I've gotten a deal or two, but
it's
not, I'm thinking like, man, I've talked to so many people and like, I got nothing going on. Like, yeah, I got one in the pipeline, but like, I look around at other people, we're in my office and producing. I'm like, bro, I'm out working this cat like 100 and I'm getting nothing. Like, man, that's, but actually quit. No, doubts for sure. But like thinking back now, bro, going back to those times, I don't think there was ever a moment I really actually was considering pulling the plug though. You know, like I can't honestly tell you that I wanted to quit.
Yeah. Cause I mean, like a lot of people do, you know, what about how about now? Like where, from then to now, what are we looking at right now? You got a team, you got a bunch of people in a bunch of states, right? Like where are we at right now for the team?
Yeah, so it's completely evolved, bro. Like at this point, I have 2 pieces to this puzzle. So I have my EXP organization, which is everybody who I brought into EXP, which is 350, 400 agents or something like that, which through the company residually, you make money too off every sale up until a certain point. That's a big stream of income for me right now. Then the primary real estate operations is still my team. So my team, Team BC, is, I believe as of now, we're in 19 states with members that I have. I have regional leadership too. So I have 2 other regional leaders that help me. We divvy up the states like Northeast, Southeast, you know, Midwest and the West. But it's just different, bro, because now as far as the activities, I'm going on, you know, a multifamily appointment or a luxury appointment. The regular stuff, especially even for my cats here in Miami, I'm sending my agents, you know, and it's just a different role. I'm more of a training leadership role now. I'm not banging on the doors 3-4 hours a day, making calls 3-4 hours a day like I used to, because I'm at a point now too where I have multiple businesses, man. My coaching makes, you know, 300,000-400,000 a year too. You know, I still sell products and I travel and speak too. I do so much. So there's 7, 8, 9 streams of income now versus back then it was, if I'm not making a commission, I'm not getting paid. So
Right.
you morph, right? And I think the biggest change for me was not just being a salesperson, but also being able to develop into the role of being a leader and learning true leadership skills, and then building and scaling a business, which is another beast, versus just being a solo agent, you know, that's hungry and wants to make money.
I think it's easier to be a solo agent than it is to build a business.
Oh, absolutely. You're right.
What do you think that what do you think helped, like what do you think you learned from leadership that you think you apply that's helping you grow, right? Because I think that a lot of people talk growth and want growth, and conceptually we all get it, right? We all get what we have to do. But some people have track record of consistent increase in money, in success, and different things like that, right? So, like, what do you think you learned about leadership and just the progression of growing businesses?
Yeah, there's a lot. The first one is this: like, as I really started growing my business, man, and I'm sure maybe you had this struggle too.
Yeah.
When you switch, especially from a solo agent to being a leader and running an actual business, from a mentality standpoint, a lot has to change. Like, as an example, being a solo agent, we're perfectionists and we want to do everything. But for you to build and scale a company, you have to learn to not only trust other people, but put other people in positions that they're capable and good at that. Because you now have to put your thinking cap on and say, all right, I'm worth X amount per hour. Let's say you're worth $300 per hour. Any task, any job that's lower than that, you need to leverage out. You know, the emails, answering, you know, sign calls and all that stuff that you normally would do. I need to push that to somebody else and pay them to now get back that time for me to spend on that $300 an hour plus activity. So, but to that initial solo agent, that thought of, oh my God, now I have to pay somebody, right? That risk, we can say, you're risk averse when you're new because you're in that kind of scarcity, desperate mode. So mentally, bro, you have to completely shift, because now it's not, I need a commission. Now it's, I want to build an empire, right? So there's a lot of shifts there in regards to your thinking process, your ability and capability to take risk, which you absolutely have to do. You now have to be very, very efficient with your time. And even though we're very dialed in as a solo agent, especially me and you, because we make the calls and we do what we're supposed to do, your schedule is infinitely important. When I have meetings, when I have things to do, I have contracts that I need to get drafted up for the team, and investments that I'm making, like everything has a deadline and everything is very punctual, right? And those things too, you have to be a lot more diligent with and disciplined, because now instead of just making calls and going door to door, I'm moving and shaking, I'm meeting people here, I'm meeting here, I'm going to the bank, I'm doing this. So it's a different level of movement, and you're focused now more on maximizing your efficiency, not just being the workhorse that works 16 hours a day, right? Because now if you're building wealth and you have assets, I know you have a kid too, you have other things, you have a life. We can't just be working 18 hours a day, even if you love the hustle, right? Anybody with a brain would say, yo, if I can make, you know, $1 million working 6 hours a day, I would rather do that than make 300,000 working 18 hours a day. I mean, it's just common sense. But you go through it in the beginning to build that platform and build the skills and get the know-how to then be able to do it 6 hours a day if you want, or whatever, to make the million or more. But that's a natural progression, you know? So, man, I could talk about that all day, bro, but there's a ton of things that you learn in your development from going from like the solo agent to, you know, being a leader and running a company.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, it's, first of all, it's easier to sell real estate than it is to manage people or grow or lead people, right? But I also think that it's weird, you know, the more money you make, it seems like I'm not working as hard. Do you feel like you experience anything like that?
In the traditional sense, yes, because we constitute making money with, you know, grinding away calls and going door to door and being under the sun and getting beat up on the phone, right? So that is hard because it punishes you emotionally and spiritually, right?
Taxing
versus now you might bring on a talented agent that you train and then that produces X amount for themselves and also brings in X amount to your company, and you duplicate that 3-4 times, right? It's just, but we're working smarter and more tactically versus more of an exhausting way, you know, because at the end of the day, bro, I remember hitting the doors and making calls 5, 6, 7 hours a day, you know, you're done at the end of the day, bro. You're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody. Leave me alone. You know?
I think that with time, it's just like anything. If you put in enough work, it's not that it becomes easier, but I just want to let people know, like, it doesn't have to be real estate. It can be any business. I'm sure it's all the same, right? Like in the beginning, you have to do maybe a lot more work than you would ever have to do later on, because later on, like the work you're talking about, right? Running multiple businesses and stuff like that is like the thinking becomes bigger, the actions become bigger. So if you think about it like a giant wheel, your wheel's bigger, so it's just spinning, you know what I mean?
Mm.
When you got like a little wheel, that's a part of the big wheel, you got like, you know, you're spinning a lot more. But I think that it was pretty crazy for me. I honestly feel like I don't work that hard and my life is pretty good. You know what I mean? My family life's pretty good. My real estate business is pretty good. I'm closing on another investment property, you know, and I just think that it becomes like a snowball of goodness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if people stop, like in any business, I have friends, you know, that would like jump one business to the next, and not secure what they're doing. Do you ever see that? Do you think that's a fault? Do you think like focus, like cold call, door knock, whatever your thing is, until you build it up? You're basically building your foundation, right? And if you're constantly moving and rebuilding a new foundation before one's set up, it's tough. That's what I think is like a big, weird puzzle for a lot of people.
Yeah, man. And, you know, everything you were describing, especially when you were speaking about your personal situation, in my mind, I'm like, well, he earned it. You know, he built that empire through the 3, 4, 5 years of that, you know, whatever you want to call it, the grueling grind, because then we learned, we made the mistakes, right? We made the right moves, and maybe we hired somebody that we had to fire and we learned a little bit better, you know? Yeah. And you get to that point. It's just, I think people that jump from business to business, they have this false expectation of the time frame that it's required, man, and the amount of effort that you're consistently going to have to put in, because a lot of people are not okay putting in the work and not seeing that immediate result. Like, yo, I want to work 14 hours a day and make $1 million my first year. It's like, nah, homie, that's not going to happen. Like, that might happen year 4 or 5, but you got to go through the periods of not getting anything. Wow. Because I look back now and I would ask you this question, where you're at now, was it worth it to go through everything you went through before? Because I would unanimously say, hell yes.
Oh, yeah. I think that generally speaking, you know, in the beginning, it's just like, you know, I used to have a closet in that 1-bedroom apartment that my brother and I lived in. And in the back of the closet, I taped like, I want to make 100,000. It was like by my birthday in 2011. I didn't make 100 grand until like, I'd say 5 or 6 years after that. Made my first 100. But the year I made 300. I didn't make 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All
the other years made nothing, like next to nothing, getting evicted, like that kind of stuff. And I think what it taught me is, you know, everything in life that's worthwhile just sometimes takes longer. And if people just stop or like quit or like, you know, it gets a little bit hard, shit gets a little hard, and then you're like, gonna go do something else. The process, you know, there's a quote by Jim Rohn that says like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And then there's another one that says like, it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. And most people will do it as long as it's easy. But when it becomes not easy and you don't see results, I think that's where the challenge comes in, right? Because like sometimes you got to work out when you don't want to work out, right? Most of the time, you're not going to want to work out. Most of the time, you're not going to want to door knock. I'm sure even at this level, like, I'm like, I don't even want to build a team, you know? But to continue to grow, you have to get up and you have to build it. I've gotten to the point where like, hey, man, now I think I actually was talking to my brother about this yesterday. We have to start thinking bigger because I have everything that I think I want, you know?
Yeah.
I got a house, I got a nice car, like my kid's happy, he get whatever he wants, you know? But then I think the bigger I can grow, the more opportunity I can create for other people. Do you have that mindset?
Absolutely, because when you get to the point where, regardless of what our initial expectations were and our goals,
Yeah.
when you are in a position where like you're good, whatever that means for that individual, you look outside of yourself, man. You look and you say, hey, I can be a beacon of light for somebody else. I can mentor that person. You know what? I can bring these 4 or 5 agents in and build them up and help them create a good life for themselves, right? And
Yeah.
you find joy and accomplishment and fulfillment from that. So I don't know if you remember that old pyramid they would show us, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
When you start getting near the top, this is what they discuss, that when you have, in a sense, accomplished what you feel was worthy, right? You now start looking for like legacy type stuff, or, hey, I want to help, I want to give back. And you get to the point where it comes like full circle, where now it's like, let's help some other people and help some other people get on, you know? And I think that's the natural progression as you start to develop and get bigger, for sure.
Yeah. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about general human psyche that might hold people back. You know, like if you think about, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world, right? We've been around for a while. You obviously know there's all kinds of stuff going down all the time. And a lot of people, I think, get really, really caught up with their personal lives into what's going on in the universe or the world, you know? Do you
Yeah.
think that mindset holds people back from like achieving success faster or in a better fashion or anything like that?
Yes, because let's say we look at what we do, right? Real estate. I can take anybody from anywhere on the planet, and let's say they just magically teleported either in your office or mine.
Yeah.
Regardless of who they are or where they're from, there's a set of things that if they do, skills that they learn, systems that they put in place, actions that they take, we know we can duplicate like successful agent, successful agent, successful agent.
Yeah.
We know the blueprint is there. It's the same blueprint me and you followed, right?
Yeah.
Well, what stops them? It's what you said. It's the individual, because now you input that individual and you give them the blueprint based on everybody's previous experiences, what they've learned, what they think they know. They're looking at that blueprint, trying to decipher it differently. Or they're like, well, this guy's saying knock on doors, but I'm too short, no one's going to take me serious. Or I'm too young, no one's going to listen to me. So a lot of it I get, but at the same time, I also say this is why it's so important for people to be around the right individuals and learn from the right people, especially in the beginning. Because I've been there listening to these stories about people who like gave up because that one person in their life told them stuff like that. And I sit there like, damn, dude, like imagine if this kid was around me, he'd probably be a millionaire right now, you know? And it makes me sad, but it's a double-edged sword now, because we're very accessible through social media, but that also at the same time feeds in this big distraction, right? And people getting caught up in these things that are in most cases irrelevant to their situation, or hearing from people and about things that don't better their situation, that actually makes them go backwards, you know? So it's interesting, bro, because you look at the phone and it's either your greatest asset or your worst enemy. And for a lot of these people, especially the young cats coming in, man, when I have conversations with them, I'm just like, man, like you guys are on another planet when it comes to some of this stuff. Like you don't get what we're telling you when we say this is the blueprint. It's almost like when Indiana Jones in all the movies gets the thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, imagine if he had a little parrot telling him, nah, that's not it. Go somewhere else. You know, it's like, bro, it's right there. The prize is right there. But, you know, there's a lot we could talk about with this subject, man. But I think the first step for that, if people are going to do something about it, is listen and learn from the right people and keep your attention around that and the task at hand, and eliminate most, if not everything outside of that. And that journey will become a little easier, if we're going to say that, right? I know it's not going to be easy, but it'll be a little simpler and a little easier for you.
Right. Life is never quite like super simple. You know, I think at every level you have these weird challenges that come up. But have you ever had a time when you had to like either change your perspective on certain things to move ahead, or if you ever had to maybe get rid of some people from your life?
Yeah. back in the day, especially, bro. Yeah, I'd get rid of people all the time. And I'm pretty ruthless in that aspect, because just like I tell people, you don't owe me anything, I don't owe you anything. So if we're going to have a friendship, it's got to be mutual. If we're going to have a partnership, it's got to be mutual, right? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
We both got to give and we both got to contribute. Otherwise, one's taking, one's giving, or vice versa. That's not good, right? That's not healthy. So
Yeah.
a lot of it was me, I would say, naturally drifting away from people, because when you start to change, you get on a different wavelength than those people, and naturally you're going to drift apart. But some people, yeah, I'd have to be very frank with them and say, look, man, where I'm at in my life and where I'm going, you've told me, or you've shown and demonstrated to me you have no interest in it. So, right, maybe we can every once in a while link up or talk, but hey, I'm going right, you're going left, all good, right? And some people take that well, some people don't. That's okay. But that conversation, in quotes, that confrontation has to be had. Otherwise, you keep people around and conversations and things that you don't want, right? Now, as far as my perspective, bro, 100%, dude, 100%. Like, you brought up something earlier. It's easier to be a solo agent than run a business. Hell yeah, that's true, right? I look at all the stuff I deal with now and I'm like, man, what did I sign up for? I say that sometimes, right? But I've had to change my perspective on a lot, on money, on finances, especially on how, even though it seems business in general and sales like this monster, it's really not a monster, right? Like it's a very simple, like, mathematical code, we can say. On my own abilities, for sure, because in my mind I was an athlete, that's it, right? When it comes to all this stuff, I'm no good. Boom, that's completely flipped. What I'm capable of doing outside of that continues to expand on a daily basis. Oh, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. So man, from a mental standpoint, bro, I've changed tremendously, and I continue to, because that for me has been the focus, especially the last 6, 7, 8 years. And it's just been a beautiful process, man, because life gets better, you accomplish more, you get happier, you get more fulfilled, and it affects the people around you at a different level. So tremendous changes, man, a lot.
That's awesome. We can start wrapping it up. I think there was a lot of good stuff there, but like, I got another question that I can think of right now. Do you think that you ever see people and they're struggling, like to change their mentality, right? Like they kill that monster in their head, see something different, and just most of the time, more so than not, it's like you're in the trunk, you can't see your way out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just like see such a one narrow path, but there's so many opportunities, and the more money you make, the more opportunities you see. Do you ever see like people completely go the other way and hinder themselves from succeeding on a massive level, that like if they let go of these things, they'd probably be a little bit better off? Do you ever see mental barriers like that? And if so, like what are the biggest mental barriers you see from like your coaching, that might hold people back?
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot, man. A lot of people were brought up kind of like, I was too, where you're brought up to be very skeptical and fearful of literally everything. So let's say like somebody meets you and you can help them, and you even offer, like, you open your door, hey, come through. They won't even go. They're like, oh no, David's for sure a scammer or something, right? So this thing that, like, even if you want to learn from somebody or they have something to offer, like, you have to be careful and you can't even listen, right? Another one that people mold into their minds, and I think this has to do with our upbringings. Most people's families and cultures breed a specific way of thinking, especially in regards to career path. Like for me and my family, it was 9 to 5, right? Anything business, entrepreneurial, we're not cut out for it. It's not for you. Forget it. That's a different world. You don't belong to it, type thing. That's how I was brought up. So if I was never able to break out of that, I'd have a 9 to 5 right now, and I'd be miserable, right? Like I remember like getting in fights with my family about pursuing basketball. I'm like, yo, like, this is what I want to do. Like, let me live my life. I'm only going to be this age and have this opportunity once. And even when I was already playing professionally, I was still hearing it. I'm like, dude, I'm getting paid now. Like, what else do you want?
You're like, well, I'm at the club dropping 100 racks.
Yeah, right. So, it was funny. And those are a few, man. I know we could give 100, but what helped me, dude, get over it, right? And it's something I brought up earlier. Number one, I say this to people: you have to become sick of your sickness, meaning that mentality or whatever it is. You first have to say, okay, that's it. That's enough. I want to change this. Now, the second part is you need to find the antithesis to that, meaning, okay, I think this way, I don't like it. I either need to learn from somebody, get around somebody, pick up the right books, see the right examples, and really understand this other side that I've been hiding from. What does it look like? What does it sound like? How do they respond to these situations? And the best way that I've seen it, dude, is get around those people, right? If I had to pay, let's say I was watching you and I liked you and I had to pay, $500 or $1,000 to go to one of your events, I would go and I would ask you those questions or just be around you and absorb some of that like beingness of what's David like? When people ask him those questions, how does he respond? Because when you get to see it and experience it, now it's real to you. Versus sometimes if you read it in a book or somebody tells you, you're like, whatever, man. Like, yeah, that sounds good, but is it true? Right. Just like if you hear somebody's like back in the day, like a wizard at selling, but then you got the chance to go see them in person and they're making calls and you're like, man, this dude's a monster. It's different when you experience it in person. That's a cool thing that, video created was it was a little bit more real versus just hearing a story that, your parents or your family would tell you. Right. And at the click of a button. So really that part of the process is somebody committing to making that change and really wanting it, because that's for sure the number one requirement. But number two is, to what extent are you going to actually materialize this change? Because it's one thing to, like you said earlier, the people who claim they want growth, it's one thing to claim it and say it. It's another thing to actually do something about it. Because I've lost count, man. Oh man, I'm gonna, go to your event. Oh, I'm gonna join your coaching. Crickets. But those are the same people that are on my lives 3, 4, 5 years later asking the same questions. And I'm like, bro, where have you been? It's been 5 years and you're in the same position. Like, you need to change something, but they refuse to take that step and it stops them, man.
I think it's like becoming better in life or succeeding, if you will, which I think to a lot of people is money, but really it's you becoming better. And if you can become better, for you to become better, you really have to get out of your own way, which means you got to learn some new information, or you really have to. In some cases, I'm the same way. Like I unapologetically got rid of a lot of people in my circle, and I think that for me, it's like, hey, I'm running, and if you're with me, you got to be running either with me or faster than me, because I need to be like. Like I want to run with a bunch of people that are moving forward fast. And then there's a lot of people that like say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. But when they realize how hard the work really is, then I think what happens is they have all these theories and all this, like what they can do and how they can do it and how they can do it better than you. But what people fail to realize is like, true change and true growth happens like A, one day at a time, but B, it really happens by you doing the actual work. And if you don't do the work, I can lie to you, right? I can lie to the next person, but you can't lie to yourself and you cannot lie to life. So I think that people just really have to realize if you're going to be successful, there's going to be some hard choices that you're going to have to make to move forward and to become better. And if you don't, that's okay. You could tell me you're making them, but life will show. Life is not just going to take your saying I'm going to do it. You actually got to do it. And you might even have to do it when you're not, when things aren't going your way,
100%, bro. I remember telling people what I was actually doing and they were like, wait, you're doing that? You're doing what? Oh, forget that. I'm not going to get my real estate license. I don't want to do that. And I was like, man, people have this warped perception about what being a realtor is, And that's why I connected with you and some of the other people online, because you guys were doing what I was doing, and I could see that. And that's just so rare to find, super rare.
Right. And to do it at a level that we're doing it. I mean, it's pretty cool though. I mean, we've both grown a lot, man. It's pretty crazy. All right, let's wrap this up. I got the old moleskin and a new moleskin. In these two little books, I basically just write down, like if I passed away and my kid finds them, there'd be some cool stuff in here for him to read. You know what I mean? So I usually pick a quote out of one of each and just read it on my podcast. So you can, this is the new one, this is the old one. You get to pick.
Let's go with the old one.
The old one? My man, I kind of knew you would. All right, in the old one, you have from page 1 to page 33.
We'll take we'll go with Michael Jordan, 23.
23. All right, let me see. All right. Let's see. Oh, look at this one. A rejection is nothing more than a necessary step in the pursuit of success. What do you think about that?
There we go, man.
That's what we were
And
talking about.
exactly, you know, and I look at that as something that is not a coincidence. The fact that I picked that book and that page, and I look like hearing that quote, I look 9-10 years ago compared to now. Back then, rejection would hurt. Now it makes me smile. Like it's like looking at a blade of grass. It's a part of life. I don't look at it as this big bad wolf, like, oh my God, rejection. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to get rejected. I don't even think twice, you know? So it's cool to see that difference and how somebody trying to avoid that, it will stop them from doing anything, man. It's nuts.
And I think too, you know, like you obviously know, and I know as well, like doing all this, you know, putting yourself out there on video, on audio, on social, and constantly trying to teach people. Obviously, with that comes a lot of negativity and rejection in the sense of like people talking bad, or you know, you put yourself up there, you give yourself a chance for people to like you, and you give people a chance to not like you, right? Except you're making it easier for them. And I think that at the end of the day, just like I tell my kid, you know, I go, hey, does it matter what I think of you? He goes, yeah, it matters what you think of me. Does it matter what like somebody else thinks of you? And he's like, yeah. He's like basically no, yes to me because I'm his dad. And what I tell him is like, it really doesn't matter what I think of you. What really matters is what you think of yourself. Right. And if you could tell yourself the good things that sometimes we say to others, right? Like sometimes people are like, oh, you're so great, this and that. But then they don't say that to themselves. Yeah. And I think that is way more to hone that little skill is 1,000% more important than like anything else, because that's self-belief, you know, like you spend the most time with yourself. Therefore, you need to learn to truly love and embrace you as a person and the changes that you make, you know, because like obviously year over year, people change and grow and develop. And as you learn things, you do different things and you improve on the things you're going to do, your expectations. Like, give me your thoughts on that and we can wrap this up.
Well, yeah, man, it's the unspoken, you know, communication that nobody else sees or hears or experiences except for you. And a classic example I tell people is, let's say I was around you, or you, for a day, you went out and your thoughts throughout the whole day was like a megaphone and it was saying it to the world. Would you have that proclaiming like that? Would you be proud, or would you be like, oh shit, I need to turn this thing off? You know what I mean?
Down immediately.
Yeah. Because that's key, bro. And that was one of a lot of things that I worked on in the beginning, because I noticed you slip up and you say the dumbest things like, oh, I'm so dumb. It's like, you're not supposed to say that. You say, I made a mistake, I'm going to fix it. Right. Like, and that's what one of the tattoos I got here on my wrist is I am, because whatever comes after that is, you know, going to be taken as a command, and it's some of the most powerful language that you can use on the planet. So that inner cultivation, right? Watering that inner garden, key. However, people don't take time to do it because they listen and they're like, oh, some fluff that doesn't work. We need to make it a part of your life. Once you reprogram your mind to be like that normal, then, you know, life changes a lot in your experience of it, because now you exude this energy that other people are just attracted to.
Yeah, I think that people just have to realize that it's basically self-talk matters a lot. And there's a quote that like, make $1 million for what it will make of you to make $1 million. Because I think that there's a lot of times when, you know, you see it where people get money and then they lose it, right? They win a lottery, they lose it. They win a lottery, they lose it, right? Stories like that time and time again. And I think for me personally, it was built so slow that I had to change who I was to build this thing, right? Which means I had to change and rebuild my heart, my mind, my soul, my spirit, right? Like improve and strengthen and like have these deep, good convictions about myself. And like, at the end of the day, man, like you're spending the time with you, right? Yeah. If you're not happy there, it's going to be very hard to achieve what want to achieve. You know, it's just how it goes. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, man. And we're constantly being told to find happiness outside of ourselves. And I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. What else you got? What else you want to say? I'm pretty much out of questions now.
Yeah, man. No, thanks for having me on, dude. Hopefully you can come out to the mastermind. You know, I just thought about you and your brother the other day. Again, that's why I shot you guys a message, just because I know we hadn't talked in a minute, but I always like your stuff on Facebook and Instagram, and I see you guys doing your thing. So I had to holler real quick.
Yeah, man. I think that I like that we've been friends for a long time. I think that it's cool to watch you develop and grow as a person and change and like improve and obviously build a bigger business. I think that shit's awesome. You know, like I like that. I like having friends like that. And I'm gonna try to come out to the mastermind in June, right?
Yeah, the 16th and the 17th. Those are the two full days.
So what do you see yourself doing in like 5 years? Still real estate, still coaching, or one thing or nothing, or like.
There's a lot, man. The whole online thing is huge, bro. Like one, I'll give you a few focuses. Obviously, the team, I'm going to keep doing it, right? Because we're growing, we're doing well. I even opened up an investment division for the team. That's focusing. We have a division that's doing like wholesale and fixing and flipping. We have another one that's going to focus on multifamily, right?
That's cool, man.
So that's really going to explode. Yep. And I like that, right? Plus the culture and everything that we created with the team, because it's my baby that I created. It's really cool, right? Yeah. Number two is growing everything I'm doing with EXP, because it's an incredible company. You know, I fully support it. When I made the move, it made sense. Yeah. And I'm loving it. So I'm going to keep growing that. And I want to get my organization to have a couple thousand agents, right? I'm at like 350, 400 right now. I want to double that by the end of the year. And 5 years from now, I don't know, 5, 10, 15,000, who knows? Other than that, man, it's really now that we're in the position where we're really making money, now I'm looking at other avenues outside of real estate to park my money in. Because at this point I own 9 properties. This is the 9th one that I bought that I live in, and the other 8 I rent out. So they're buy and holds. But now I'm in Florida and I'm thinking, hey, tourism. So what I did recently was I bought a boat slip that also has a dry storage. So whenever your boat's not being used, it's in the storage, right? And it's hurricane proof and all that. But I'm buying a boat and I'm going to start renting it out and chartering it, right? I'm going to get some jet skis. I'm going to get some of the tourist stuff. Because crunching the numbers with the not so big of an investment, I can start making some crazy money. So my mind is going on, how can all this money that I'm generating be used to generate even more money and build such a big, wealthy empire that it runs itself, basically, while applying that same mindset. Let's build this thing properly. Let's scale it, right? Let's leverage it. Let's have it run itself. Let's put all the people in place. Let's make it profitable, right? Just like we did with our real estate business. But now when you have the resources and the money, it's a little easier, especially once you've already done it before. So that's kind of where my mind is at, man. And other than that, living a good life, being peaceful, staying ripped, staying strong, you know the deal.
Yeah, money makes money, that's for sure. But I think taking care of your mind and your heart and your body is obviously the most important thing, right? Because that's what allows you to generate more opportunities in the outside world,
Yeah, 100%, man. That's got to be the focus.
Cool, bro. All right. Well, hey, any final thoughts?
Well, hopefully you can get more people on the Modern American Dream podcast, man, because I think we're 2 classic examples of that.
Oh yeah. What do you got going on for like this year?
I got some of the team stuff, right? Because we do 2 masterminds a year. I'm doing another event next week that's going to be more focused on like NLP and hypnosis and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I've gotten back to doing those recently, like in person and online, because I really enjoy doing them. Yeah. I do also 2 coaching events a year. I opened up a tier 2 of the coaching that are for higher level people. We do 2 events of those a year as well. So on the calendar, I have at least 1 or 2 trips a month, I think, through the rest of the year, either with team events, coaching events and stuff like that, man. So I'm all over the place.
And if people don't know you yet, how do they find you, or how do they reach out to you or your team, whether it be real estate or coaching or whatever, wherever?
Yeah, easiest way, it's just like you see my name here in the window, bryancasella.com.
All right.
Holla at your boy.
There you go. All right, man. Hey, good to talk to you. I'll see you in June, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, we got to get you on my show now, man.
All right, anytime. You know, I'm always ready to do that.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, man.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
We'll see you, brother.